Okay, it's 11:01. So, let us hereby start the grand cataloging special interest group session of August. Anyone have anything they want to bring up right from the start? Maybe Andrew?
I've got a question for y'all, but I don't need to go first. It's kind of a hypothetical thing.
Okay.
So we had a library ask us to do a development to make macros from the advanced cataloging editor available in the basic cataloging editor, which makes a sort of sense. Like, I can see how they would be useful, but like structurally, the way those macros are built and implemented is like kind of a nightmare to get them to apply in the basic editor. So I guess I'm here to ask how you all feel about the mark modification templates relative to the macros. It kind of makes more sense from a design perspective to say, to make all of those mark modification templates usable from the basic editor. They can do
So
most things that
yeah,
the template macros can do. Yeah.
well, I think I know we use modification templates in the basic editor for things like our toy records, which have a pretty basic, repeatable, mark record that we build from scratch. So we use like the basic editor with a mark modification template on top of that. I believe. So I guess my question is for the development request, what is the use case for not using a mark modification template?
I think right now it's like you cannot use a mark modification template from the single record edit screen. And so they want a way while they're within that record to click one button and say, add these mark fields, like you can do in the advanced editor, rather than
Okay.
like going to the batch mod page and saying, get this one record.
Okay. So I don't know that I can see a use case for us here for that. I can ask around, but what does everybody else think? What have you encountered?
Or like related to this question, are there things you love about macros that they do that basic mark mod templates don't do, or vice versa? Like, do you see big relative strengths and weaknesses between the two tools?
So I like a macro for things like taking out like we don't use BISAC codes, so if a macro can take those out, that's great. But we've used that in our cataloging utility, or that we use from Baker and Taylor, BTCAD.
Sure.
So we use macros, but we use them in that tool before we import them into Koha.
That makes sense.
Just dropped a pen. Be right back. Actually, I will be right back. Got to take a call.
Okay.
But feel free to continue discussing.
So we don't use macros extensively either. We don't really use the advanced editor. So I could see us finding benefit in having a button to push on the page that applies the template that does what the macro would do. For us, I'm thinking like transforming an RDA record maybe, where you could like push a button on the basic editor that fills in all of the 33x fields appropriately. So I could see value in it.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank y'all. The fact that the general concept didn't agitate everybody all in one direction or the other is also important information. think if Kristi were back, she would ask if anybody else has something they want to talk about.
I have a question. I'm Lisa from Butler University in Indianapolis, and I'm part of a consortium, and we're all moving to Koha by next year. And we're trying to decide about item types, because we're trying to agree across the consortium, and it's being more difficult than I expected. And so does anybody have recommendations on how to decide on item types? Should they be more like, you know, format types, CD, cassette, book, that sort of thing? Or is it more important to have them different? So to help us.
Are you going to be using an OPAC like Aspen or?
Probably EDS and maybe Aspen in some cases, or some schools.
Okay, just one warning thing that we found out is if you have duplicate values across item types, collections, and shelf location, they get mixed up on the OPAC and they don't know which one to read. So
Yes.
if you have an item type like books, but you also have a collection called books, it's going to throw random things in each of those and mismatch them.
Can you
So,
say that, is this for Aspen or is this for the Koha impact?
so if you have the same authorized values in Koha for each of those things, Aspen mixes them up. So if that makes a difference of your item, and it's mostly just the value itself, but your values need to be different across all three of those things. If that makes a difference in how you choose your item types and your collections and your shelf locations and stuff, I don't know if it will or not, but at least make sure that your values are different in all three of those categories from each other.
Okay, great.
I didn't know Aspen did that. That's gross.
Yeah, we
Don't
just
care for it.
accidentally found that out about a year ago, and it was not pretty.
And I can see how that's not, you're not going to have a lot of libraries that repeat values between those. Lisa, from Koha's perspective, the item type drives circulation rules, and that's like the thing it does. But yeah, you're right that it does end up also being like the best indicator to your patron of physical format, and therefore really important in searching for that.
I can jump in since we're a consortium. So when we started, we had item types that were not very, this is before me, people friendly. So we had things that were like 1D, 2R, $1 fine. We moved away from that sort of specificity to a more general item type scheme. So we just do book, and everybody has a book rule. We have visual media, we have audio media, and those are sort of our core categories. And then we've sort of branched them out from there based on circulation. So we'll have like book longer term, book shorter term if we need it. We've got a local hold only, some local hold only item types. But I would steer away from making too many item types because of the circ rules situation. It becomes a nightmare pretty quick, like if you're exploding out your item types. It has gotten better over the years where you can in a consortium you can restrict item types to certain libraries so people aren't using the wrong item types, so it's not hitting the wrong rules. But from an administrative perspective, like the person managing your circ rules is going to like you more if you have fewer item types for sure.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Feel like I heard all that information before, but I forgot. So that was a good reminder. Thank you.
Looks like you're muted, Charlie. I didn't know if you were still talking.
Oh, no, I was just telling myself I don't know why I turned off my video, but yeah.
Oh. Oh, sorry, Charlie.
Oh no, I was wondering if I'm not really familiar with cataloging, and it's not really my task at this in my system to be doing cataloging, but I used to be in charge of it very briefly when people were leaving and new people were coming on, kind of thing. So I know a little bit of what's going on in the cataloging module. But I might need a little bit of help with this. I don't know if this is a current bug too, or if this is just something, a cataloging thing that I need to look into with the other coordinators. But when I go into Aspen, and I know we're at Koha, but when I go into Aspen, my grouping is all messed up, and I know that that's somewhat related to cataloging. And I'm trying to figure out like which fields exactly, which fields I need to manipulate in order to make sure they group correctly.
So it's usually the title and author field. What I can say is that you should be able to manually group and ungroup things from Aspen in the staff view. Have you tried that at all?
We've tried that. The thing is, it re-indexed and then it ungrouped. So
is it like an overdrive record or something like that?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. Is there an issue with overdrive?
Well, because like if you try and it might be like if you're trying to change the author or title field, because that record that's coming in refreshing again from overdrive is going to have the same, it's going to revert back to that title and author. But if you ungroup it, like if you manually ungroup or regroup, it should withstand that, I thought.
Yeah. Well, I was looking through like and I'm sorry for making this about Aspen and not Koha, but I went through like Jira and I was looking for tickets, and there's a lot of grouping and ungrouping tickets, but I don't think it relates to this one specifically, because I feel like it's more like a cataloging thing. And I had forgotten why, like how Aspen was grouping or ungrouping our materials.
What I might suggest is to open a ticket with your support vendor for the Aspen side of it, because they may be able to either give you, like if there's an issue with your indexing going on, they can look at that. If it's just an educational thing about here's how you ungroup it, then they can point you out there too. But so you have been using let me look at a title.
Yeah, like we did it yesterday, like the Let Them title, the new green book. We bought copies in Overdrive and we regrouped them the day before yesterday. And then yesterday when we reviewed it, it was ungrouped.
Okay. Book and ebook. The Let Them theory. I think I'm seeing that on our end too. So I'm gonna give it a shot to try and group it on our side too and see if it's something about this particular title.
Oh.
I don't think so. Maybe not, but I would still recommend opening a ticket for your support vendor to take a look at the Aspen grouping.
What was the specific title you were looking at?
The Let Them theory.
Oh, right.
By Mel Robbins.
And I didn't know about that book, but now I'm going to put myself in the queue. So it sounds very interesting.
Yeah, apply it to your discovery service. When it wants to do weird things, you just let it.
Exactly. I still owe you some responses on tickets. I'm sorry. I'll get to you soon.
I will email you after the meeting, Charlie, to see if I find anything for that particular title.
Perfect.
I think it might be mad because the subtitles don't match.
But if you force a grouping in Aspen, it should hold, right?
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does seem like it should. Like, I know it will not let you force a grouping if the records are sufficiently mismatched. Like if the languages are different, I think it will not let you force them into a group.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know why they would ungroup. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
While there's a lull in conversation, I'll just put another plug that we are looking for a new host for the cataloging special interest group meetings. If you're interested, would you, I suppose you could reach out to Andrew or Chip or both. That would be, I will post the email addresses in the chat here.
I would, but usually at this time we have our big meeting and they canceled for today, so that's why I'm here.
Would it help if koha-US sent a note to your boss that said Charlie doesn't have to go to the meeting?
If you get me out of that meeting instead, I'm fully in support of this decision.
We might not have that power.
Like Charlie can't come to the meeting
Yeah.
today or the next couple of years later. Oh gosh, please do it.
I didn't realize what a bad meeting it was.
It's not a bad meeting, it gets long sometimes. It's when all the administrators and coordinators and stuff get together, and so I agree there's a lot to talk about, but it's still a long meeting.
If it helps encourage anybody, you don't necessarily need a lot of expertise in cataloging to lead the SIG. Just a little time to kind of prepare an agenda and coordinate. Because there's always a couple of experts, at least in the rooms, that we can draw on. Yeah.
I'm seriously contemplating it, but I feel like I have to ask my boss, which makes me feel about 12 years old, but I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I would do the same. I would check in with my manager too before doing that, but we would love to have you if you have the availability.
And I should check my schedule. Do we have a cataloging meeting next month, or
So it
would
is, there is no cataloging SIG next month because of the koha-US conference. So
Right.
it'll be back in October. So you wouldn't have to start until October.
Are there any bugs in Koha that people are experiencing maybe?
With koha or with cataloging?
Yeah, like I don't know, what kind of bugs do you guys usually look at in the SIG meeting? Because I usually deal with like acquisitions and stuff like that, but I don't remember anything really about cataloging bugs.
Well, if you don't mind so let's see, if you go to Bugzilla, I feel like when I share my screen during these things, it tends to backfire on me. If you go to Bugzilla and go to the home page, if you're ever just curious, you can go to search, like at the top, and you can click on search, and there is, when you do, like click on not the yellow button that says search, but the button to the left of the search box that says search, it'll take you to an advanced search. So you can, and then you'll see like product, koha, component, and then there's cataloging. So if you select cataloging and click search, you'll get a list of all of the bugs that are tagged for the cataloging module in Bugzilla. So some of them are very technical, some of them not so much. So that's always like a good point of reference to start being like, well, what's out there for cataloging right now? Anyone else have thoughts on?
I usually use the browse option, go into browse and then koha, and it just lists all the components. And you can click on whichever one and it lists all the bugs that are under that component. And I usually sort them by date or status or something.
I would also think, well, I think the October meeting will have a, using harvest analogy, a bumper crop of bugs, because that will be right after most people have moved to 2505. So, if there's anything cataloging wise that's from that upgrade, either a new feature or a bug that's been unearthed, I would imagine the group will probably bring those up at that meeting.
One thing, kind of speaking of bugs development, I kind of wanted to promote the upcoming development project vote. We have the annual process where koha-US members vote on which development we're going to fund. And I'm curiously trying to find the link to the short list and to post it. But yeah, that's coming up within a week or two. You should get an email. And there is at least one cataloging bug that we're considering.
Is it the part 2 of the mark modification templates?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
an option in the vote to fully fund the mark modification templates. For yeah, let me find that exact thing. Technology is not cooperating with. Okay. So there's where you can take a look at the short list. And these will be listed on the voting form. And yeah, so yeah, also granular cataloging permissions made it onto the list after something else ended up being funded and bumped off the list. So we got 2 cataloging items to possibly vote for.
So the ability to add, change, or transfer between funds, which is an acquisitions development, has been funded.
It is included as part of the Acquisitions 2.0 project.
Ah, cool.
Yep.
That's like its own separate meeting though, right? Like I keep hearing about Act 2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to say there's a presentation about Act 2.0 at koha-US conference.
There is indeed.
Oh.
And yeah, acquisitions and cataloging do tend to the topics, yeah, wander back and forth. did a search for new bugs in the cataloging module, and I don't like looking at this list.
Another thing to bring up, which I think I mentioned in one of the meetings yesterday, is an interesting new title to search for, which is Kesha's new album. The title is Period, just the dot. And so, go ahead to your catalog and search for that and see how it goes. I think it actually, Aspen did pretty well for us. It came up fourth in the results after a lot of dots.
We must not have gotten it yet. Is it a very new book?
It's a CD.
It's a CD. We don't buy CDs anymore then.
Or if you have like an e-music vendor, it would be on there too, like Hoopla or I don't know, is there Freegal integration with, I guess I don't
I don't think so.
Yeah. So
Unless it's on Canopy or Libby, we don't have any of those anymore. We've gotten off the Hoopla train. I don't know how that saying goes, so I'm just going to end it there.
okay. I had a request from staff to get it higher in the search results, but I think number 4 is pretty well for searching for just a period.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like they should be taking that issue up with Kesha. Wow,
Yeah.
she gave it a terrible title.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you brought that up, Chip, because if this winds up in my catalog, I'm sure they're going to come straight to me and ask, what do we put in the 246s? So now I can look at your record.
I understand Kesha has bigger things to worry about, but the search engine optimization there is just really an issue. Didn't anybody tell her that this was gonna be bad?
She's been spitting in our face and she put a $sign in her name, so.
Well, I mean, but that British singer, the one with the red hair, he's got like Divide is his like album title or something, and then he's using like all the different multiply. I think he actually does he write out the name or does he just use the mathematical symbols for them? Ed Sheeren, yes.
That is Ed Sheeren,
Yeah.
And Kesha can team up with that. There was a This American Life forever ago about a band that formed pre-internet era whose name was 3 exclamation points, pronounced chick chick chick, and then the internet happened and they had a real problem. And I understand. You're just kind of hosed there.
It's an interesting group of people.
Is there anything else on people's minds today, or would we be okay with an early?
No one else has.
Sure.
Sorry, if no one
go
else
for it.
has any questions, since I haven't moved to Koha yet, if anybody has any recommendations for setup of things I should be aware of other than the item types we've already talked about, if anybody has any thoughts?
How far out is your migration? Like when is your
One school is migrating at the moment. They're going live next week in the consortium. 2 more are migrating at the end of the year, and there are about 21 of us that are migrating this year.
Oh, so you're after the upgrade. Perfect. Nothing wrong, just you'll come in and it's all very new.
Okay. Is that the 2.0 you were talking about? Or was that just for acquisitions?
2505.
I'm still trying to learn all the window and how to take it from, because we currently use OCLCWS. So a lot of things are similar, but they're called something else. So I'm still trying to wrap my head in those changes.
I would totally recommend Koha Wiki and the Koha manual online. I use those like still all the time. Very useful.
Okay, good enough.
One of the things we did a bunch was testing out different permissions, turning them on, turning them off, and seeing what you can and can't do anymore, just by different users, just to say, okay, what does this one actually do?
And if you don't have a test server, I would suggest joining, oh goodness, what are we called? Development committee? Is it called a development committee?
Oh,
who
web
has the
development.
server?
Web development SIG?
Oh,
Oh,
do you
no.
mean
Education is what Charlie's saying.
It's
now, 'cause
probably
we
it.
have-
Education. Got
Education.
it. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm just like, I'm like looking at Chip. It's like, no, it's not development. I know Chip's in both, but yeah, in the development committee, we have a test server and they allow us to go in there and just test certain things. I'm not trying to go around the system by offering you. But yeah, it's very useful, the education committee. I recommend.
Okay, thanks. We do have a sandbox set up, and then we'll also have, because one school's going live this month, so, I mean, I don't want to interrupt their system, but we may be, but it's theirs. So,
some of like the growing pains sort of things. So we've been a consortium since 2008. And I think things that we've found that help a lot are regular meetings. So we have 3 users groups a year where we're getting everybody together and talk about what's going on with Koha, and hash out, like I have a little section on the agenda every time for nag sessions about people doing stuff wrong. But also establishing sort of how much local control each branch is going to get, and establishing your system wide, like some settings have to be set at the system level still. It's not all granular down to the branch level. So sort of establishing how much flexibility you want. I always say, like, it's easier to give things to people than take it away. And like when we started, we just gave everybody everything. So my job over the years has been to like reel things back in. So if you can start like with more control and then let it go from there, it'll save you some headache.
And I think Koha generally like will let you get more library specific flexible than is really a good idea. Like it
Yeah.
will let you build a really complex thing that will mostly work. But then when it breaks hard because it's very complex. So there's definitely benefit to finding the places where you say, no, you don't have an option here.
So some of the things that, like, if you have different permissions for your staff to do, like you want some staff to be able to maybe withdraw and delete items, but not make a whole catalog record themselves. Those are limitations you can set up. And that would primarily be like, there's permissions field for that. So I don't know if any of this is of interest, but just things to think about. And I don't know like what level at the consortium you're at, where you would control that or not, but that is control that you can set up.
well, this is helpful information. I'm part of the group investigating the cataloging side of this. But I'm also part of the larger group that's investigating the system. I'm kind of nervous of how, because right now we use WMS, so we just select the records and there's no importing, exporting, so nobody can overlay records. And I'm kind of worried about people accidentally messing up other people's records, not on purpose, but on accident. Adding fields and notes that we see that we don't see are.
I know one of the things, so our consortium is pretty loose with a lot of our stuff. All of my directors are super users and they catalog. We're kind of rural. And so we did tell everybody they have to ask permission to add an item type. And we have a set number of item types that they're allowed to have. And so we don't allow that, but like things like shelving location and collection code, we let them do whatever they want with those. They can use them however they want. They can add new ones, and then you can limit, you know, which libraries can see which collection codes. So like we just don't see their weird ones that they've added. And I would love to be able to limit and say, you can only have this many collection codes and you guys need to share them as much as possible. You know, pick fiction in collection code and don't also put it in shelving location. Like things like that would have been really helpful if we'd done when we started, but it works the way we're doing it. And then also, like, we try to encourage everybody to put as much as they can in the item record. There's not a lot of fields, but as long as you put the things you really need to know in the item record for your library, then if somebody messes with the bib record, it's not as much of a big deal. Like our call numbers have to go in the item records because if they're in the bib records, it doesn't really do anything for us because we all have different call numbers that we do differently. Our library is weird. Our nonfiction section has the collection code in the front of our call number. So when we search for them, we can, I don't like it, but it works for our shelvers. And none of the other libraries want to use that in their call number. So just, yeah, the more you can get the same as everybody, the great, but it is flexible and it works. We've been doing it for over 10 years that way.
Juliet, that actually sounds really scary to me to have multiple super librarians. I've been asked that question before. Why aren't there more super librarians in my system? And I'm just like, no, I don't have a reason anymore.
I would say for my 13 libraries, I have about 25 super librarians.
25?
Because all of the managers at Rapid City have a super librarian permission too, because they can. They don't do anything, and then each one of the branches has at least one super librarian.
How many branches do you have again?
13.
Oh my goodness.
It's a lot of trust.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's working for you. Great. Wow.
Okay, that's interesting because I think we were planning to have at least one super librarian at every school in the consortium, so that's not too thing.
It's doable if they know what they're doing.
That's what I worry about, but I mean, for myself too, not everybody else too, but because I mean, we're all going to be learning the new system.
Yeah, you need to get the word out to ask first if you aren't sure.
Well,
logs are pretty
or you
good.
could, I mean, to go back to Jason's point, start out with very limited, and
Mhm.
as you find out like who absolutely needs to have that level of permission, extend it.
Yeah,
All very helpful. Thank you.
we found that like people shied away from having super librarian powers even within our office because they would accidentally delete a report or they'd accidentally have too much access. Also, when you're a super librarian, you see more than when you're like just standard. So like we like to declutter the screen for people as much as possible. So But I called us the consortium. We actually offer our catalog as a service. So sometimes I refer to it as the Jason Tatership because we have the absolute final decision on things, and so we keep pretty hard control on that sort of stuff. So we've only got like me and my director are our two super librarians, and everybody else has permissions divvied out from there.
Thank you, everyone. This has been very helpful.
Oh, I did want to back up and mention on so record level versus the item level thing, we're sort of similar to Juliet, where we're putting lots of emphasis on the item. And we've just set sort of a informal policy that no one should be editing bib records going backwards. Like if they bring a new bib record in and it needs edited, they can do some stuff. If they need to add an ISBN to the bib record, because we put some formats together. They can do that, but we're pretty hands-off with our cataloging as far as we have 52 libraries. Most of our librarians are working part-time. They don't have like a higher level of library education, so we want to make it as easy as possible for them. So we expect them to know how to search the Z targets, pick a quality record, and then don't touch it from there. And then we have staff centrally that reviews things coming in, and we'll edit the records, but typically we ask our libraries just to leave the bib record alone for the most part. And that's been a hard sell, especially as we migrate more people on. Like we just migrated a community college into our system, and they were used to doing bib level cataloging in their old system, and we're like, it's okay, we got you. You don't have to worry about like going in and fixing all that stuff. We'll pay attention for you. So that's how we handle it.
So he brings up a really good point, but if you have an AMH machine, you should be very careful on, like, if you are planning on getting one of those, I forget what AMH stands for, but it's the machine that sorts books for you. And we get it from TechLogic. But if you are using collection codes as the thing that you use to sort materials and call numbers and all that stuff, that's very important that you should go back and make sure that all your materials that you migrated over have collection codes, item types, whatever you're searching for, so that it can sort correctly. Because we actually started dealing with this issue of some of our material, a lot of our materials are going to exceptions bin because it's not filled in correctly. So if you're going that route with the AMH machine and with the AMH, then definitely look into your collection codes and your authorized values for your items, run a report, make sure there are no orphaned locations, shelf locations, collection codes, or whatever, because we're dealing with that right now.
That is good to know, but we're all really fairly small university and seminary libraries, so we're all private academic institutions, so we don't have enough circulation that I think we put together. But I have worked at a large public library and we have that, so, but it's good to think about because that could interact with other systems I have.
Another thing you might want to look at are the different authorized values you have set up for the item statuses that you'll have on the items. Like if you have like a pretty custom loss status for something, like we have we're like not for loan statuses, like we have what status, it's like it's in transit from our technical services, so you can't check it out, it's not for loan until we check it. And you can set it up so that when it gets into a branch, that status drops off. So that's something to configure too. So are your questions at this point more like the stuff itself or getting your data set up?
I think just getting the data set up and, I mean, the system we're in now uses shelving locations for circulation. And so that's trying to wrap our heads around the fact that there's the format that comes from the bid record information, but then there's also the item types and then the optional collection codes, and trying to figure out, we have more options than we do in our system now in that respect. And I think we're trying to set it up so we can please everyone, but also So it works from day one, but I think it's gonna be some fun on day.
Do you have somebody on your team that's pretty good with like SQL and running reports and stuff?
We're learning. We have somebody that's does the reporting now, and so she's pretty
Okay.
good with SQL.
I had no idea how to use it, but was nominated as the one to try. And so I've learned that Koha Reports library, I lived off that for the first little while, because a lot of that is just basic setup stuff of your regular reports that you're going to want to run. And then, yeah, learning how to, we ran a lot of reports at the beginning of just tell us what's wrong with our data. We imported it all in. Now tell us where all the messy stuff is. So we can go clean it up, all these things that are missing pieces of information, that kind of stuff. And of course, Bywater did a ton of it too. So yeah, just being able to, once your data's in, start analyzing it so that you can know where those gaps are and fill them in before it gets out there to the public.
It's good to know. Thanks. I've been cleaning a lot of stuff up now, but I know once it migrates, then all sorts of new things I hadn't even thought about here.
Yeah, we're 3 years in and I still have a gigantic list of cleanup. So yeah.
I put a link in the chat to a Bywater knowledge base article about item statuses. That might be worth having a look at, just because Koha may be handling statuses differently than OCLC did. I don't remember OCLC specifics, but a lot of ILSs have like one field that is the status of the item, Koha has like 5 different things it looks at all the time. Is it lost? Is it damaged? Is it not for loan? That kind of thing, which yeah, can be a little bit of a puzzle to wrap your brain around.
Well, thank you, everyone. This has been very helpful. Got a lot to think about.
I also recommend
Funny.
George and Chris's YouTube videos and Monday Minutes. When I was first starting, those were also very important for me.
Trying to think about other like specific cataloging stuff. Theoretically, you could spend this time really customizing your frameworks, but that, I don't know. Does anybody feel like that's really good effort? Like, as I've yet to see the library that has the most amazing framework setup that I feel like they couldn't live without.
I think we've got a few things for, like I said, like toys, where like the record doesn't change all that much from thing to thing, and you can just, so if you've got materials like that in your collection, making it, a modification template for those is helpful. We've got that set up for like some of our serials too, magazines, because like those are handled out at the branches instead of here in technical services. So there's just basically like a template for them to fill out a few stock fields. So yeah, I would say we have some that we really need.
And those are like templates sort of. If you know you have, for this type of record, I don't need these 5 mark fields, but I do need these other 5. You can sort of adjust what it asks for, what it shows you.
Yeah, when you're going into catalog, it's kind of, I like how Koha shows it. It has tabs for each of, like, it has a tab for the zeros and then the 100s and the 200s and the 300s. And then it explains what everything is, and it has, where you fill in the information, and it has the indicator spots. And then you can also do advanced cataloging, which looks more like most cataloging systems. And those have macros that you can create so that you can have it automatically fill in some fields if you click the macro. But if you're just doing the basic cataloging, I like adjusting the framework to make sure some things just don't show that we never use, but you really don't need it if you're not doing very much original cataloging. If you're doing importing, it'll mostly import. There are some rules on what you can tell it to, like, don't import this field, and that's in a different, I can't remember which area in Koha that is, but there's like overlay rules and stuff. And I think that what was like what I just lost my train of thought. I just really like how Koha's cataloging is just very user friendly. Oh, one of the things that's really nice, it has little question marks next to each one, and you can click on it and it'll go to the Library of Congress explanation of that field. And I really, really like that. And I want them to put it in the authority records too. I think there's a bug to do that, but it's not been pushed through, but it's really nice when you're original cataloging, because if you're like me and you only catalog every so often, you can go and click on the little question mark and it'll explain what you should put in that field.
And I didn't realize that little question mark wasn't there for authorities. Also, we haven't talked about authorities at all, which is probably like an important part of the cataloging landscape.
We're paying someone to do it for us.
Just don't have your system generate them automatically willy-nilly like we did when we started.
It does seem like it kind of removes the point. Yeah, you can tell Koha just like, if I save a new subject heading, make an authority for it. Which, it's kind of like cart before the horse.
That can do
Then-
that sometimes.
Then you end up with 800,000 of them.
That aren't actually authorities.
Yeah. You've like authorized your horse to make new carts as it sees fit.
But if you don't use them, it doesn't really make that big of a difference if you make new ones.
But it
Our OPAC searches, when you click on like a subject, it searches by keyword rather than by using the authority.
I just put another bug in the chat, and this one made me think of your situation, Jason, of, you know, so many different people wanting to add to a bib record, but you have a set of specialized catalogers. You can use fast add frameworks where they just put in the basic information and then somebody else does the complete cataloging and being able to use. And I would love to see more than one of those so that you know where it's coming from, have different people set up different fast add frameworks, that kind of stuff. This one's been out there for a long time and it just keeps failing. Q&A or QA, and just waiting for somebody to fix it because I don't know how. But being able to, let people add the basics so that you know it's coming, you know what they've wanted to purchase or what they've gotten, and then having somebody that actually knows what they're doing finish it up.
Yeah, I would love to see this one pushed through too. We're currently using the one and only fast add framework for our ILL processes. So it would be helpful to have another or multiple more that we could leverage.
Is there a reason why it has to be a fast add framework? Because like we have a framework that we have just for ILLs that only lets them fill out a few things. Is it cataloging permissions or?
Yeah, it's the permissions because we want circ staff to be able to make those brief records. So we can give them the fast cataloging permission just for that one framework.
Well, and I imagine you also like to tie into the workflow where, like, if you scan in an unrecognized barcode, it automates that and see the
No,
utility.
don't use that.
Oh, see,
I'm terrified of that.
fair enough. But if it could, as it prompts you to auto-generate the record, if it could know which framework to put it in based on your logged in branch, yeah, that'd be nice. Lisa, do you all have authority records? Do you have an authority record plan?
We're thinking of outsourcing, so I actually have a meeting later today. Third party vendor, the consortium overall was kind of like, do we need it? Do we not? And I was like, absolutely. I'm a NACO cataloger and contribute to the NACO file and funnel, sorry. And I'm just like, yeah, we have to have this. I think we've lost a lot of catalogers as schools, budgets have got cut, the people who retired. And so it's hard to tell people why I think we need this, especially as we're going to be sharing even more stuff than we do now. I think it's very important. Make sure our data is consistent, and then also so it's ready if ever in the future we decide to migrate to a different system. It's been
Going thrice. I don't think there's a word for the fourth time. Lisa, are you signed up for the Google group for the cataloging SIG? Okay, great, because that's another place that you can post questions to. You're getting ready.
I'm sure I will have more and more questions as we get closer to when my school is.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for taking the time and bringing great thoughts. And thanks for bearing with me trying to.
You were amazing. You were fantastic.
Huh?
You were amazing. You're fantastic. I don't know what you're talking about.
I feel yeah, I'm just very glad that everybody came and brought such a wealth of knowledge today.
Thanks for facilitating.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Hope you all have a good rest of your day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.